there is one very important thing that we have in algebra, which is called factorization. A lot of my students, they know how to factorize, but they really don't know what is the meaning of factorization. What is factorization? Imagine I have 10 candies. I want to arrange them in various ways. So I have multiple options. If I have 10 candies to arrange, I can arrange them in a single row where I can have 10 candies all in a single row, right? Or maybe if I keep 2 rows, then I can have 2 rows of 5 candies each. Or maybe if I have 5 rows where I can have 2 candies each in a single row. Or maybe I can have 10 rows or just 10 candies arranged vertically like this in 10 different rows. So 10 into 1. So these are the 4 ways I could keep my 10 candies. This is called factorization. It's like branching out and seeing how I can obtain them as 2 branches, like a times b. If you have something like, for example, if you have x times y, it can only be factorized as x times y alone. This is called factorizing. You want to write it in the form of multiplication, a times b form. Okay, it's different than simplifying, because simplifying is when you bring the like terms together, add them, and just make the terms reduced, or you just don't have 4 terms now, you'll just have 2 terms in your answer. That was your simplifying. Now factorizing is just the opposite of that. Factorizing means just branching it out and writing it as product of 2 things or even 3 things. But writing in a product form, that is always called factorization. Now of course, what kind of questions they give you is, they'll give you 2 things like 3xy plus 6y. You want to write it in the form of a times b. This is clearly not in the factorized form. It is in the form of expansion. There are 2 terms here, so it's in the expanded form. How can you factorize it? You look at each term at a time. 3xy is made up of 3 things. 3 times x times y. Whereas 6y, you can think about 6. 6 can be obtained as multiplying 2 with 3 with y. And now if you look at the 2 terms, you clearly see that both have some common multipliers. 3 has multiplied both the terms. Likewise, y has multiplied both the terms. So what you can say is, okay, 3 and y has commonly multiplied both the terms, so I can multiply both of them by 3 and y. If I'll do that, then I will see that the first term is now multiplied with x, the second term is multiplied with 2, because 3 and y, I already kept it out. So this is called factorizing. I just kept out the commoners. The commoners are outside, and the non-common parts are the ones which you can write it in the form of addition or even subtraction, provided the question gives you minus here. Okay, so you just got 3y times x plus 2. Now x plus 2 is inside the bracket because it is one group multiplying with the other group, 3y. So this is called factorized form. These are the basic kind of terms we use in algebra. This is the beginning terms. Okay, like these are the terms which will be there when they ask you for finding the factors, or they'll sometimes tell you to expand. Now expanding is just the opposite of doing what we did here. Like in factorizing, we just wrote the same thing in the form of 3y times x plus 2. Now if you were to open up the bracket, how would you open up the bracket is, this 3y that's outside has to multiply everything inside. So 3y multiplies x, it will be 3xy. I write xy just because it's convenient to write it alphabetic. 3y times 2. Now how do you multiply 3y times 2 is just number multiplies number. There is no variable to multiply, so there is only y that will remain in the answer. So 3 times 2 is 6, y. I kept plus in between because the 2 terms were adding here. It's just like I do with numbers. So if I'll give you 3 times 2 plus 3, in this case, because you know 2 plus 3 is 5, you would add them first and then times it with 3, right? According to BODMAS, the answer would be 15 here. The other way of doing the same thing would be to multiply this 3 individually with what you have inside and then add them up. 3 times 2 plus 3 times 3. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 3 times 3 is 9. It would give me the same answer, 15. So this is called expanding. When the question says expand, this is what you have to do. You have to use the distributive property, meaning term outside is distributed equally to what you have inside the bracket. This is called called expansion form or expanded form. Now, doing the opposite of expansion is factorization. This is how you understand algebra. This is the beginning of algebra. Very, very simple things we have. In the next part, we will see how we apply them to solve real problems, like the exam problems. How do we even solve? Sometimes the questions are very direct, asking you exactly like the questions I showed you here. Sometimes it will be in form of a word problem. So how exactly are we supposed to approach the word problems? I'm going to discuss that in the next video.